How about relationship? Now, this is another big change for people who are used to being single, and especially brahmacharis or brahmacharinis. The idea of sharing a life with another person. In the West, people live together and they don't get married until maybe years into the relationship, or they just break it off. The relationship is more or less a trial for marriage. Marriage is sometimes seen as quaint, just a piece of paper. And of course, this is very antithetical to our devotional principles. We want to have people who are deliberately married, responsibly married, and because that allows a minimum of impact on your spiritual life and allows you to continue to flourish as a devotee. So what makes a good relationship between husband and wife? One of the first things to understand is how different men and women are. Women have brains that work entirely differently than men. Men have a very heavy emphasis on, I believe, the left hemisphere, which is the rational hemisphere of the brain. Women have brains that communicate left hemisphere and right hemisphere, which is the intuitive, emotional, understanding side of the human brain. So women actually have a much more balanced approach to life. They will see both the rational and the underlying human elements of any given situation. Men will be tending to just see the rational side of it. The way this manifests in relationships in unhealthy ways are one of the common phenomena is that women will present a problem or a concern just wanting to be heard. And the man will respond to it by saying, okay, I'll fix that for you. But they're not actually being asked to fix anything. What they're being asked to do is understand their spouse. Another source of tension in this kind of dynamic is that women speak more than men. About twice as much per day in terms of how many words. They're actually better communicators. So if the husband and wife do not have outlets in their own gender, and particularly ladies, this is important. If ladies don't have others to talk to, when the husband comes home from work, the wife has got so many things she needs to express. This creates a tremendous amount of stress for the husband, because the husband just, after working, needs some alone time to regenerate. That's another tendency, again, with the male, with the rational mind. There needs to be some time to regroup after an intense work day. So ladies need to understand this about men. Men need to understand this about ladies. And ladies need to know men, when they're going off by themselves for a while, they're not rejecting. In fact, they're not even thinking about it. You know, this is just something that they need to do to kind of be ready to be present in a relationship. And men, if a woman is expressing something to you, she's not necessarily asking you to do something about it. She's asking you just to understand what she's feeling and experiencing. So learning to be a good listener, not giving advice, not giving instructions, which are actually barriers to communication, but rather just listening, reflecting, giving back. I see, so this is the problem you're having. And then even asking open-endedly, so what do you think should be done about it? What are your ideas? This is a much more fulfilling form of communication for a wife from her husband. These are the kind of things that my wife and I have learned through books, through our own experiences, trial and error in our long marriage. Srila Prabhupada said that if husband and wife are Krishna conscious, there's no need to renounce. That's already renunciation. So marriage can be a lifelong proposition. It doesn't have to end in sannyas and separation. That varnashram advice is given for those who are not necessarily devotees. So each situation is individual. The core principle is how much one is able to engage in devotional service. Are the partners chanting their rounds? Are they worshiping the deity at home? Are they offering all of their food? Are they offering service to the temple, to the community? Are they doing outreach programs? If they're doing all these things in married life, then that's perfection of renunciation. Prabhupada said actually better than sannyas. So if you are so blessed to have a partner with whom you share your spiritual life, then you are well ahead on the path back to Godhead. This is the key thing to start, being properly situated in your ashram. In 1977, Srila Prabhupada, although very ill, wanted to come back to the West. And his purpose in coming to the West was to establish Varnashram. He said, 50% of my mission has been established, book distribution. Now I want to do the other 50% Varnashram. Unfortunately, Prabhupada was not able to make it to Gita Nagari, and he came back to Vrindavan and left this world. His nurse at that time, Abhiram Prabhu, told me that Srila Prabhupada's concern about establishing Varnashram was that he saw his young disciples, enthusiastic renunciates, distributing books, preaching, but not really in a sustainable position. He was concerned that they would land in a way that they could continue their Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada wanted that to take place on farms as much as possible. I've been in North America and ISKCON for nearly 50 years, and I have seen the farms and the farmers, and devotees are just not farmers. They have not been able to make these farms successful. So nonetheless, the principle applies that we need to be able to continue our spiritual birth into spiritual maturity, and Grihastha life is the place where that happens.